So I'm going to do two things. One is give a little overview for those of you who aren't familiar with it, of what this culture of gentleness is and can become, and within that, what gentle teaching is. And I'll try to share some new ideas about what direction I would like things to go in. I think we're all instruments, and so we're very fortunate to be here and to be able to talk and share all of our thoughts and ideas. Maybe I should spend just a minute talking about why I do what I do. When I was much younger, when I graduated from college with a degree in metaphysics, it's a study of whether we exist or not. And at the same time, my co-major was classical Greek. So if you ever want to read Winnie the Pooh in Greek, I'm the man. And then I lived and worked with, I went to Brazil because I saw a picture in a magazine and it said street child in Brazil. And that inspired me to spend the next many years working with street children in Brazil. And they actually worked with me. They would steal food for me. We lived on a garbage dump, so it was, there was no supermarket. And they would take care of me and watch over me. One night, someone was nibbling on my ear in bed, I thought, and I lit a candle and it was a rat. So they gave me a cat to keep the rat up there and me down here. So anyway, I did that for many years, and I really didn't realize that I was learning something. It was a very joyful experience in the midst of hellish suffering, but it was a joyful experience because when you have nothing, people have to be interdependent. And coming from the United States, I really didn't experience interdependence that much, or that clearly, let's say. Anyway, when I earned enough money to come back home, I hadn't been home in 10 years, and went to the airport. I begged a ride on a Pan American airline plane. Yeah, I don't want to fall. And I didn't have a job. And so my mom called a plumber. My mother called a plumber. Where I'm from, the city council politicians are plumbers and bus drivers. They're simple people. So she said our toilet was broken at home. And then she said, oh, Johnny's in town. Oh, little Johnny's back in Omaha. Well, he's not so little anymore. And so he came out and fixed the toilet that wasn't broken. And then my mom said, he needs a job. Oh, glory be to God. We just started a program. Omaha, where I'm from, was the first city in the United States to begin to develop community programs for people with intellectual disabilities. And so I became the director of that because I knew classical Greek and I wasn't sure whether people existed or not. And I walked through and saw 90 people with intellectual disabilities. I think the only quality I had is I was innocent, okay? And they gave me an office and a secretary, and I walked around and I saw all these 90 men and women with intellectual disabilities who had been in a horrible, ugly place most of their lives. And but they didn't surprise me. What surprised me was the staff. People were making fun of them, were yelling at them, were tying them up, were putting them in the furnace room. It's like pre-timeout rooms. And so I wrote a memo, and it was from John Joseph McGee. That's how I was raised. And I said, from this day hence, there will be no more, and then I listed, making fun of people, criticizing people, pushing and pulling people, and a list like that. And I was sort of proud of it. Helen Schaefer, my secretary, this is like 40 years ago, typed up this thing. We mimeographed it, put it in everybody's mailbox. Everyone came and got the memo from John. And so I'm sitting in my office, being the director, I had nothing to do. So, just a joke for those of you who are directors. But the caregivers did laugh. So, I was sitting there doing nothing, and I saw a young caregiver named Sharon Elvis walking down the hallway, and she had a piece of paper in her hand, and I thought, oh, it's my memo. And so she came in, oh, hi Sharon, how are you? What the hell is this? The only memo I've ever written. And I said, well, what's wrong? And then she said something that made sense. Oh, I shouldn't use bad language for her, I'm sorry. She said, you told us what not to do. So it'd be like if I go to one of your programs and say, don't grab, don't hit, don't push, don't pull, don't yell, don't. And then I didn't tell Sharon, you're correct, because who's going to admit they're wrong? But I thought, wow, she is correct. And then I said, what do you think I should do? And she said, get out here and work with us, which is what I did. And I always attribute that memo and that little conversation as the beginning of gentle teaching. And then I didn't like what I saw. The whole, I'm very simple. And this whole reward and punishment thing smacked of meanness. Meanness. Not intentionally, because you got to do something to get kids to obey. But for the kid, it's mean. For the man or woman with an intellectual disability whom you're reprimanding, and they already have a broken heart, they see it as mean. We see it as helpful. So over the last 40 years, I started to write. The first book was called Gentle Teaching, which I really wouldn't recommend that anybody read. It's as good as I could do about 30 years ago, and that was to use behavior management, which is the thing of the day, of the past 60 years really, and take the punishment out of it. And then as I saw it, and I was doing it, I thought, oh, this is too mechanistic. It's obvious that the people we work with, the most difficult ones, have a broken heart. So as time has gone on, I talk more and more about what's inside of people and how we can mend, how we can fix or repair, but more importantly, mend broken hearts. And in that process, we actually change ourselves. So that's what I'm going to be talking with you about today.